We have a body, and we also have a soul. We often forget the value of the soul. We forget that it is precisely this that will lead us to salvation in the hereafter. When we do so, we waste something incredibly precious. It is the most valuable blessing we possess. Let me give an example. Imagine that you have been given a large stack of $100 bills, a huge stack. You could do so many things with it. You could look at it, admire it, give it as a gift. But imagine that the weather has gotten cold and you want to start a fire. There is no firewood around. You have a lighter in your hand and that large stack of $100 bills. You say, "It's cold, I want to warm up," and you burn the bills, using them to start a fire. You burn them and warm yourself up. Most of you would be horrified to hear this. You would say, "How could anyone burn $100 or even a single dollar?" What is the problem? The problem is this. First of all, how long will that fire last? A few minutes, 10 minutes at most, and then all the money will have burned up. Nothing will be left. The second and more fundamental problem is this, that money was meant for far more important things. You could have invested it, covered your needs, gone shopping, spent it on your education, built your future. Using it for such a meaningless purpose is foolishness, because its value is far greater than that. This is simply an analogy. In the end, we are still talking about physical money. 1 million, 10 million, whatever the amount, it is still material. But the human soul is worth incomparably more than that. So much so that God attributes it to himself. God is infinite. Therefore, the value of the soul is also infinite. Now the matter becomes more serious. What happens when a person commits a sin? They do something worse than the person who burned a stack of bills. Because money is material, but the soul is immaterial. The soul is capable of rising to the highest levels of perfection. But when we sin, what are we doing? We are burning our own potential, burning our own investment. We are destroying what we were meant to become. Let us close this section with a saying of Imam Ali, peace be upon him. He says, "Your soul has a price. Sell it only for paradise." Do not sell your soul for anything less than paradise. That is, the path that leads to paradise. The path that leads to God's pleasure has been shown to us. This is God's religion. Do not sell yourself short. Do not lose this precious investment. Do not give away this precious investment for the sake of any deed that leads you away from the path God has shown, because that path leads you to paradise. One of the questions that has troubled thinkers and philosophers since ancient times concerns human nature. Who am I? Am I merely a material body made of bones and flesh? Does that mean that after I die, my entire existence will come to an end? Or is there something more beyond this physical body of mine? Islam has explained that the human being is a creation composed of two components, the material body and the immaterial soul. These two parts are entirely different from one another. The human body consists of a physical, material form that is visible to the eye. The soul, however, is not like that. From the moment a person is born, the soul and the body, these two elements, are united and dependent upon one another. The Quran also speaks about this duality in various places. After describing the material creation of the human being, God then says in the second stage, "In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful." Then he perfected his bodily form in his mother's womb and breathed into him of his spirit. And he gave you hearing and sight as a means of perceiving the sensory world, and hearts as a means of perceiving what is grasped by reason. Yet how little gratitude you show. Surah As-Sajdah, verse 9. From a philosophical standpoint, scholars believe that our permanent and unchanging identity is proof of the existence of another element beyond our physical body. While our body undergoes constant change, our personality and our sense of self remain the same. There is no doubt that many of the cells in my body change as the years go by. Yet despite this, I am, for example, the same person I was 10 years ago. The element that is distinct and unique in every being God has created, however, is the soul. Islam emphasizes a philosophy of life that addresses our needs on a physical level as well. Just as our body needs food and rest, our soul also requires its own special spiritual nourishment. When we worship, when we care for others, when we do the things that please God, our soul grows stronger, and through these deeds we prepare it for the next world. God says in verse 18 of Surah Al-Hashr in the Holy Quran, "In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. O you who believe, fear God. Let every soul look to what it is sent ahead for tomorrow. Fear God, for God is fully aware of everything you do." Unlike our physical body, which is purely material and will perish, our soul is not like that. It will continue to exist even after our body has died. Every deed we perform in this world leaves its mark and its impression upon our soul. The Quran and many hadiths are filled with reminders and counsel about not becoming attached to the material body and the material world, and about giving due attention to the soul. First question: if the true purpose of the human being is the station of closeness to God, and attaining this station brings about the greatest pleasure, then how is it that most people who are inherently in search of pleasure and happiness are unable to find this destination? Answer: a person's attainment of true happiness, perfection, and pleasure becomes possible only when that person recognizes and acknowledges these realities. However, most people do not recognize the true purpose of creation and true perfection. Yet all people are familiar with worldly blessings and are aware of the pleasure they bring. For this reason, all of one's energies are spent on acquiring worldly blessings. There is variation among people in the blessings they choose to pursue. Each person gives preference to certain blessings according to their own thinking and taste. Although recognizing true perfection is an innate quality, most people, due to lack of knowledge, are in need of guidance. The greatest mission of most prophets has been to awaken dormant consciousness and to remind people of forgotten divine guidance. In our time, this responsibility falls to those who are capable of recognizing and conveying the path of the prophets. These people must point the way to true happiness and direct people's attention toward their genuine, innate desires. Second question: if the true purpose of human creation is to attain the station of true perfection, then why has human nature been given room for deceptive worldly desires that would obstruct this very path? Answer: the value of human perfection lies in the fact that it is a matter of choice. What gives a human being the possibility of surpassing even the angels is precisely the freedom of will. It was necessary for a person's freedom of will to be set into motion and for various paths of choice to be opened before them. Since human development is gradual and occurs in stages, the conditions for choice also needed to be continuous. At every stage of development, a person has been given the opportunity to make a free choice and even to change that choice. Once attention is given to these 2 points, the subtleties of human life in this world become clear. It is evident that human existence in a world of motion, change, and gradual development requires special means and opportunities. The driving force behind these means and opportunities is a person's natural desires. The capacity for choice also rests upon these desires. If the right path is chosen, natural desires play an important role in a person's advancement toward ultimate perfection. This means that natural desires are in no way in contradiction with the philosophy of creation. Third question: if true perfection means abandoning worldly desires and rising to a station of closeness to God, then surely the vast majority of people will be deprived of such a station. If only a small group of people can attain true perfection, can the rest still be called human? Will this many people be condemned to eternal punishment? Answer: True perfection has various stages. If the highest rank is not attainable for everyone, any given person can still attain the lower ranks. These ranks are achieved by taking a certain step on the path of faith in God and servitude to Him. Setting aside all desires and striving solely for God's pleasure is the condition for the highest rank. Without question, each rank has its own specific conditions. For example, not every believer is granted the capacity to fully recognize the truths or the power to carry out every task. But those who preserve their faith until the end of their lives and whose abundance of sins does not strip them of their conviction will attain eternal happiness. It is also known that eternal paradise itself has different degrees. Every person will receive a reward in proportion to the knowledge, faith, righteous deeds, and moral character they possess. We arrive at the conclusion that a person who has not conquered the summit of perfection and has not reached the ultimate divine good cannot, on that basis, be stripped of the title of humanity and condemned to eternal punishment. If this video opened your heart even a little, don't let that moment fade. Subscribe to keep nourishing your soul. Like it so others can find this light too. And share your thoughts below. Your reflection might guide someone else's heart as well.